Hi everyone, I'm Empress Sankofa of October's Holistic. So glad that you guys could tune in today. So make sure that you like, share, and subscribe if you like content like this, and make sure that you hit that bell so that you get notified every time that I drop a new video. Hope everyone is doing well today. Today is a very special day. Today is the autumnal equinox in the Northern Hemisphere. The word equinox literally in Latin means equal night. So today we have equal time in the daytime and equal time in the nighttime. So there is this balance of light and darkness, and it's very symbolic. So we're going to get into a little bit of that in the video. Hope you guys are ready. I have some information I want to give you that should help you as you're doing your healing journey and getting it done, right? So the sun is entering into the third quarter of the year, which is the season autumn in the northern hemisphere, or spring in the southern hemisphere. And this corresponds to the seventh house of astrology. And as the sun, which represents our ego, moves into each zodiac sign throughout the year, the ego learns about itself through the nature, the character, and the perspective of each sign. So right now, the sun is learning about itself through the cardinal air sign of Libra. Libra is all about partnerships, marriage, and even open enemies. So as I mentioned, this is the seventh house of the year, which is not to be confused with your seventh house in your natal chart. So your seventh house in your natal chart is going to depend on the time of your birth. So as I'm talking throughout this video, I want you to make sure that there's a clear distinction that I'm specifically talking about what the sun is doing during this equinox, during this time. As I mentioned, the seventh house represents partnerships, marriage, and open enemies. So the focus is now on relationships of all kinds. How the ego recognizes itself through relating to other people. Who do men say that I am? Who do ye say that I am? Does this sound familiar? If you have not watched my video, Christ, make sure that you check it out, because when you watch it, it's going to make all of this information just really gel together. And that's what we want. We want it to gel, we want it to congeal together. So, as above, so below. The universal law of correspondence teaches us that all things mirror all things. The sun is at the equinox, which is equal day and equal night. So as the sun is doing a balancing act with light and darkness, going from the ego to focusing more on the soul, we too should work towards balance during this time, balancing our light and our darkness. Can't be all love and light all the time. Sometimes you got to be darkness and chaos. So this is the deeper meaning of the term, or the cliche phrase that people use, what's done in the dark is going to come to the light. Because as you move along the x-axis of time, just linear time, the x-axis of time, darkness eventually becomes light, and then light becomes darkness, and then darkness becomes light. So light goes in cycles. Everything is cyclical in this reality. It's time for us to harvest all things that we have been laboring for this year, and to prepare for the winter. It's time to clean. So whatever things from the spring, which is the beginning of the year, and the summer that are not serving a purpose, to move forward into the autumn and then into the winter, we need to be cleaning those things and making way, making room for our harvest. Harvest moon, harvest season, all of it literally connects together. This year's seventh house Libra season gives us opportunities for healing how we show up in partnerships. And this means that when we do the healing, that we can attract better partnerships that are more aligned with our soul's purpose moving forward. So you may have been noticing karmic situations with family and friends and partners, even certain enemies may have been, these contracts have been coming to a close, because now we're moving into a different season where we can actually do some deeper healing work within ourselves and attract people that are more aligned with our purpose moving forward. So the universe is conspiring to bring people into our path that's going to help us reach our purpose and not hinder our purpose. So it's important that we use these these seasons so that we can do the healing work, so that we can keep aligning with new people and new opportunities. Because you know what happens when you don't? Here comes Saturn. Here comes the time loop, and how I mentioned that x-axis, linear time, darkness, light, light, darkness, darkness, light. It becomes a time loop, and you may start to notice that you're moving in similar patterns, and things that are happening in your life have already happened in some form or fashion at a different point in your life, like literally like a carbon copy, a copy and paste situation almost, like literally the same or different people reading the same roles as people that you've already come across, situations that you already come across that you thought you have adequately dealt with. And here it comes back on a time loop, because really time is not linear. Everything is in cycles, light and darkness cycles. So when we do that healing work, then we can like clear the way so that we're not carrying that energy residue in our aura, and we don't continue attracting the same type people and situations. So actually, I'm pulling this out of my book, Tired of Being Tied, The Spiritual Science of Breaking Soul Ties. So if you have not already checked that out, make sure that you check that out on Amazon. So now I'm going to mention a few things going on in the sky that is pushing us forward towards a deeper level of healing that we all need at this time. So as I mentioned, each planet and each sign, I want you to think about where they are in your own chart. And if you would like to schedule a more one-on-one in-depth reading for you specifically, make sure that you email me, and my email will be on a link in the description. So North Node, Gemini, South Node, Sagittarius. I wanted to mention the Gemini North Node because it, like Libra, speaks to balanced light and darkness, just in a different way than Libra. So in mythology, the Gemini twins had the same mother, but one of the twins' father was Zeus, and the other twin's father was a mortal man. So therefore, that's where we get the duality of the light twin and the dark twin. One twin being the son of a god made him the light twin, and then the other twin being the son of a mortal man made him a mortal man and the dark twin. So, how can we actively balance our human and our divine nature? Because we're both. How can you balance who you are as a divine being and still be human and still feel? How can we integrate those experiences together? We just had a full moon in Pisces / Aries. This is like right there on the cusp, as well as Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So what things can we now see clearly that we were previously deceiving ourselves about? And how can we use the waning phase of the moon to release what cannot move forward with us? During the waning phase of the moon is going from light to dark. So once again, there's that metaphor of light and darkness. Mercury retrograde in Libra. What is happening in your relationships now, and what has been happening in your relationships over the last 2 weeks? This Mercury retrograde will give you the opportunity to revisit and rethink those themes that have been popping up, and you'll be able to gain a new perspective. And once you gain that new perspective, make sure that you integrate that into your experience so that you can reconcile some of these situations and move forward. By the way, if you would like to purchase one of my Blame It on the Retrograde t-shirts, I will have the link in the description for you so that you can celebrate the retrograde. Make sure that you go ahead and order it so that you have it in time. Mercury retrograde starts next week on September 27th. Now let's talk about Venus in Scorpio. Venus in Scorpio is in its fall, meaning Venus, who enjoys the lighthearted, beautiful side of love and life, now has to embody the dark feminine side of Mars, and she is completely out of her element here. So love becomes dark, obsessive, controlling, and manipulative in Venus in Scorpio. So do you have any hard aspects to Venus in Scorpio in your chart? So any planets or houses in Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, or Scorpio in a similar degree, you may notice that you are experiencing power issues in these areas. Either someone is trying to control you in this area or you're trying to control someone else in this area. Okay, let's move on. Mars and Venus are in each other's signs right now. So what this brings on mutual understanding. Individually, this would be a weakness, but because both of them are in each other's signs, there's like this mutual understanding, this mutual reception between them. They have a mutual agreement. They can help each other get through their fall, so to speak. Jupiter retrograding in Aquarius gives us the opportunity to revisit any opportunities and smooth over any difficult planetary aspects in our chart that may be touching this similar degree of Aquarius. That's one thing that I really like about Jupiter, with it being the great benefactor in astrology, is that when we have difficult aspects with planets, heavy hitting planets like Saturn and Pluto, Jupiter, when it has like aspects between these planets, Jupiter can kind of like help smooth over the lesson a little bit. Jupiter's kind of like that grandfather that's just kind of like, let me slide you a little piece of candy, let me slide you a little bit of money. I know that you're grounded right now, but hey, here's a little piece of cake I slid out for you. So Jupiter is kind of like that planet that helps us smooth over these difficult lessons, because I know that there's been a lot going on, and I always say that. It seems like every video when I'm talking about astrology, oh, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. The celestial drama, the gods and the planets getting into it, having their meltdowns, and we are in the image of these gods, in their likeness, and we're all exhibiting different aspects of them depending on how each planet is placed in our charts. So Saturn is also retrograding in Aquarius like Jupiter, but they move at different speeds. So the degrees, there's a big gap between the degrees. They're in different decans right now. So with Saturn retrograding in Aquarius could be bringing back similar karmic themes that have already occurred this year, like in late January and February. So if you have been paying attention, or if you journal, you might notice that certain things that were popping up around late January, early February have kind of like resurfaced a little bit, because Saturn is bringing back that lesson, like something that you might have missed. So now it's time to really just go inward and really focus on what you're supposed to learn about whatever it was that was going on. So you want to integrate the lesson and reconcile the karma. Uranus retrograde in Taurus means that there could be sudden changes that disrupt our sense of stability, and so now we have to focus inwardly to find new ways of doing things. Taurus is all about stability and resistance to change, and Uranus is all about wild and unpredictable changes. So when you put the two together, it's kind of like they're opposite type energies, and so things can get really chaotic. And I'm sure that a lot of people are seeing this with the economic things going on in the world right now. It's really a mirror of that Uranus in Taurus energy. And I also want to mention that Venus has been going through a lot this year. Venus has been going through some major changes, getting these upgrades to all things Venetian. And you may agree if you have major Venus influences or placements in your natal chart. Venus is getting a facelift, you hear me? So all things about love and beauty, she's having to go within and really find out what's true for her without the perspective of what other people say about her. So as I mentioned, Venus in Libra is kind of like, who do men say that I am? Who do ye say that I am? Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. This means that structures and that have been in place and foundations that need to be done away with will be done away with at this time, and they will be rebuilt on a more solid foundation for the now season. So you got Pluto, god of the underworld, ruling all things transformation, death, and rebirth. The phoenix rising from the ashes, the scorpion, the eagle, is now embodying the energy of Saturn, the god of time and karma and cycles. So when you put those two together, we have the distinct opportunity right now to clear away some major past life karma. And it is to note that we are coming up on America's Pluto return. So in 1776, when America was founded, Pluto was also in Scorpio, and it is nearing that degree, and it will get there in 2022. Wink, wink. Okay, so now let's talk about Chiron. Chiron retrograding in Aries gives us the opportunity to heal around things of self-identity. Aries is opposite Libra, so this could be a good time to go within and heal wounds surrounding how you relate to yourself versus how you relate to others. Okay, guys, so that's all that I have for you with regards to talking about these planets. Please keep in mind, all of this information is very general, and I did not mention aspects and angles between all of these planets. And if you want to know how all of this is working with your natal chart, make sure that you send me an email at sankofa1111@gmail.com, and I will make sure that I have the link in the description so that you can schedule a one-on-one video chat with me if you would like to go deeper in understanding what type things that you can be focusing on healing at this time and how to use these energies to your benefit so that you don't keep going around that time loop, the time loop, the time loop. Kind of reminds me of like deja vu, or if your parents had or your grandparents had the, the 8-track records, and if there was ever a scratch on the record and it would like just keep repeating the same phrase over and over and over again. That's essentially what happens when there's something that comes our way and we don't fully get all of the lessons there was to get in that experience, and we still have that energy residue. So even if we think we got it up here, we still haven't cleared the energy residue from our aura. So we are magnets attracting every person and every experience to us. So when we haven't cleared that energy off, we continue to attract the same people in the same type situations. Thank you guys for tuning in. And again, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe, and tap that bell for all notifications. I will have my Blame It on the Retrograde t-shirt link in the description, and also my book, Tired of Being Tied, The Spiritual Science of Breaking Soul Ties. So make sure that if either one of those resonates with you, that you follow that link and that you go ahead and you place that order, because it's going to change your life. So again, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time, and enjoy this equinox balance.